Hey guys, this is Jabroni, and today I want to talk about how to beat this common internet base. A few things I want to point out here at the beginning. The clan castle and the air defense here, sometimes you're going to see them flip-flopped. If they are flip-flopped and the clan castle is not at the top, then that is going to alter your plan based on what I'm going to be teaching you here on how you can beat this base. Another thing, if you have super goblins unlocked, you can use some, I forget how many you can use, but you can use some super goblins to actually take down the clan castle building and destroy it before they become visible, and therefore the clan castle troops will never actually come out. So that's another thing that you could possibly use as a tool to beat this base. I actually hit this base before with the Queen Charge hybrid attack, but I realized since the enemy heroes are all here at the top, all three of them, and also since I would not use the miners and hogs from the north, I'm actually going to use a queen walk to take down the town hall. I don't actually need miners to activate the town hall. And so with that combination, the heroes being up top and not needing a miner to activate the town hall, I realized that just bringing a queen charge hog rider attack without any miners would probably be a better way of beating this base. I actually hit this base before using a mass Yeti witch attack where I kind of funneled them and brought them up here from the north. But the problem is this base has a whole bunch of giant bombs in between this wizard tower and these air sweepers and also around these giant bomb towers. And so what happens with all those different giant bombs going off in the middle, it just destroys your witches and your yetis from the mass Yeti witch attack. And so that's not a good option on this base. Also, based on my previous experience hitting this base, I learned that I actually can just bring 4 healers instead of 5. The reason I usually bring 5 is because sometimes a Black Seeking Air Mine might take out one of your healers, even though you might use a test balloon at the beginning. And so I learned, since I'm bringing my queen from over here around 10 o'clock, there were no Black Seeking Air Mines when I hit the space before in that area. And so I still brought a test balloon just in case, because sometimes, people will edit the base design based from what they got from the internet. So I still brought a test balloon, but I went with just 4 healers instead of 5. And so that allowed me to bring a couple extra hogs and an extra wizard for cleanup. Speaking of wizards, when I originally hit this base, I used a baby dragon over here to take down these gold mines to then force my queen to travel up instead of traveling down to the south. But I realized the archer tower here in the cannon and the single target inferno and the wizard tower, I could use just a wizard to take down these gold mines, and actually the wizard ends up taking down this gold mine as well. So instead of using a baby dragon with a test balloon, which would be a total of 15 troop space, I could just use one wizard. So again, that's a cheaper way of funneling my queen to force her to go to the north. So anytime you can do a cheaper funnel, that's going to save you more troop space to then use with, well, in this case, with the Hog Riders. So that's something to always keep in mind. I decided to use my king to eliminate at least the enemy queen, possibly the enemy king. If I was lucky, also the enemy royal champion. You're going to see later on I was not lucky. The enemy royal champion does not go down. But with the clan castle being up here, I decided that I would need more than just the king. So you're going to see that part of my plan was to bring an ice golem and then also a Valkyrie. Now, why the Valkyrie? Well, the Valkyrie can also help to target the enemy heroes, but also if the clan castle has a witch or 2 witches, the Valkyrie can swipe all those skeletons with one swing around with her axe. And so that's a really nice, effective way of dealing with skeletons and an enemy witch or 2. So that's why I brought the Valkyrie to join my king and the ice golem to take down the enemy queen and the enemy king up here at the north. Now, these scatter shots can be problematic, but I noticed that the range of the scatter shot, if I put my king high enough here at 12 o'clock, it will not be targeted by the scatter shot. Now, the ice golem will get targeted by the scatter shot, but that's actually okay, because then the ice golem will eventually get destroyed and freeze all the things around. So again, that's part of the reason why I decided to bring an ice golem with my king. I also, you'll see, I'll use a poison to try to deal with the enemy clan castle troops. Now, maybe that was risky. You might argue, well, maybe you shouldn't count on a Valkyrie and a King and a Poison to eliminate the enemy clan castle. That's debatable. Like if there would have been 3 Ice Golems, then I wouldn't have got as much value. So you could, especially if you know what's in the CC ahead of time, you could maybe use a Hog Rider or 2 to lure out the enemy clan castle troops and then let your queen deal with them. That is another thing you might want to consider, especially if you know what's in the enemy CC ahead of time. But if there's 2 witches and an Ice Golem, then I think the plan I used will work very effectively for you. Also, if there's just an Ice Golem and a Lava Hound, again, this plan that I used will work for you very well. At least I believe it will. Some of the things I want to point out. If you do not have super wall breakers unlocked, then that is going to make wall breaking into this compartment here, which when I go over the plan, you'll see what I mean. Not having super wall breakers would make this trickier. And so if you only have regular wall breakers, then you're going to need to freeze the scatter shots, especially this one here on the left, before you bring in your wall breakers here to wall break into this section here of the walls. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. Whenever you do a queen walk or queen charge hog attack or queen charge hybrid attack, you have to train yourself to go back and forth, to look at your queen and then look at your hogs, and then look back at your queen and then look back at your hogs with heal spells. That's something you have to force yourself. And so you have to learn, when can I just plop troops down and then not look at them anymore? For example, when I plop down the Ice Golem, King, and Valkyrie, I then stop looking at this section of the screen and I force myself to start looking at what my queen is dealing with and using rage spells to keep her alive. That's stuff you have to plan. When do I have to look at a certain spot of the map, and when do I need to not look at that spot anymore and trust that my troops are going to do what they need to do for at least that period of time? That comes with experience, but that is part of the plan that I had to figure out for this base. Oh, since I used my queen to take down the town hall, you have to make sure that you are keeping her healers raged up and using freeze spells with the scatter shots to keep your queen alive. She's going to be taking a lot of damage from the Expos and the other defenses here and the Teslas that will eventually pop up, and eventually the Royal Champion, since she does not get taken down by my king. So you have to make sure that you keep your healers raged up, because if you don't, then you will not end up getting the town hall taken down, and therefore this will end up being a 1-star fail. So those are things you have to keep in mind with this attack. All right, let's take a look at the plan. Since I wanted to use a queen walk and take down the town hall with my queen, what I decided to do was to use a wizard in this area to take down the gold mine here, the gold mine here, and it will eventually take down the gold mine here. So this single target inferno could be a major problem with my queen walk. So what I decided to do was to use a Yeti blimp deployed around this location here. Now I also used 2 test balloons. They end up going towards this archer tower, and I was hoping that they would take it down. You'll see once I show you the attack, that doesn't end up happening. But the purpose of the Yeti blimp is to come in this direction. I force it to open over the single target inferno, and without a rage, the Yeti and the Valkyrie that comes out of the Yeti blimp will take down the single target inferno, the air defense, the cannon, and the wizard tower. I was hoping it would also take down the mortar, but it didn't. That was not a big deal. My queen can take down the mortar by herself. As soon as I deploy that blimp and I make sure that it opens up over the single target inferno, then I stop looking at that section and I start looking up here at the north. And I will use my king, and I'll pre-poison this area. And then I'll use my king around here along with an Ice Golem and a Valkyrie. Now, you're going to see I accidentally put the king down before the Ice Golem. It ended up working out because the king targeted the queen right away. I tried to make sure the queen was kind of at the top of her radius first. But in hindsight, I probably should have put the Ice Golem down first. But anyway, the purpose of my king and the Ice Golem and the Valk and the poison is to try to take care of the enemy clan castle troops, eliminate the enemy queen and the enemy king. They're not going to get the Royal Champion. That's a little bit too much, but that's the purpose of the King and the Valkyrie. As soon as I deploy the king, the Valkyrie, and the ice golem, I stop looking at that section, and then I bring my queen from here. I make sure all the Yeti are destroyed and the Yeti mites are gone before I put her healers down, because you don't want the healers to go to the Yeti. The queen will then take care of these. Since the wizard took out these gold mines, the queen will then start traveling up this way. She's going to start taking down these buildings. As soon as she gets targeted by the archer tower and the expo, I will rage her healers. And then as soon as, and I'll use the wall breaker to wall break into here. Once that happens, I stop looking at the queen and I come down here and I put my hog riders basically at these two spots. One group will go here. The other group will start to go here. I also plan to bring the Grand Warden and the Royal Champion with them. Now, I had to decide, where do I want to use the Warden's ability? Where do I want to use the heal spells? I chose to use the Warden's ability very early because there's a lot of damage that my Hog Riders are going to take from you can see there's like 5 or 6 archer towers here. There's a couple cannons. There's 2 expos. One of them is set to ground. So the single target Inferno can only target one hog at a time. That's not really a big deal. But since my hogs were going to take so much damage early on, I decided to use my Warden's ability early. As soon as I use my Warden's ability, then I come back up here and I use another Rage, and I also freeze the scatter shots. Now, one of the scatter shots is not going to be targeting the queen yet, but still, you can freeze them both at the same time. You might as well do that just in case. Then I come back. Again, I know this seems crazy, but you have to force yourself to go back and forth. Then I come back and I decide, where am I going to use my heal spells? I knew I would probably need one of the heal spells around here because that wizard tower could start splash damage, hurting my hogs all in one group at one time. So I knew I was going to use one heal spell here. The other heal spell I wasn't 100% sure where I was going to use. I guessed that I was going to use it somewhere around here because of the giant bombs and the bomb towers, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I knew that my second heal spell was going to be a little bit kind of just reactionary. Just look to see where the hogs are and decide where that second heal spell needs to go. Once the heal spells are put, then I come back, rage the healers once again, and freeze the scatter shots and the town hall all at the same time to make sure my queen gets that town hall down. From there, it's a matter of cleanup. You have other wizards to use to spread around the base at the bottom to take down, the trash buildings. You're going to notice I did not use a miner. I normally use a miner to help with cleanup if there's buildings that are in the middle that my wizards can't reach. But I noticed that the storages were all here at the bottom edge of the walls, and therefore my wizards can actually reach those storages. There's no builder huts here near these defenses in the bottom middle. Now, there are some builder huts and gold mines up here in this little open lane path. But since my queen's already going to be up there, I realized I don't need a miner to get to that area. So that's why I decided not to bring a miner on this attack. One final note before I start showing you the attack. I would always recommend saving at least one wizard. Hold off on deploying one wizard for cleanup, and just as everything else is ending with your attack, look to see if there's any buildings that your wizards are going to somehow miss. I found out on my attack, based on where I put my cleanup wizards, that this gold storage down here on the bottom left was being ignored by my wizards, and I was afraid they were going to miss it. So that's why I saved one wizard, and I ended up putting him around this location to make sure that it took down that gold storage. So I always recommend, it's good to get your cleanup wizards down early, but I'd save at least one just in case a building is going to be missed from your cleanup wizards, just to make sure you don't have a time fail. All right, let's take a look at this attack. You're going to see I have a wizard over here that taking down these gold mines, so that way my queen will be forced to go up north. I put the test balloons and the blimp. It goes towards this single target inferno. As soon as I open it up, I stop looking down there and I start focusing on the north with the king. You see, I put the poison down right away. I meant to put the ice golem down first. You heard me say that earlier. The funny thing about this attack, and I should have realized this earlier, the clan castle only had one ice golem, and that was it. Nothing else. This enemy clan did not fully fill all their clan castles. So let me fully admit, my king would not have gotten as much of value if there were 3 ice golems here instead of just 1. If there was a witch, obviously I would definitely be relying on my Valkyrie to take down the skeletons and the witch. So anyway, I was a little fortunate here that the enemy clan castle only had 1 ice golem. All right, so as soon as I put down the ice golem and my king and the poison and the Valk up at 12 o'clock, then I stop looking there and I start focusing on my queen over here at 10 o'clock. You'll see I waited till the enemy, or not the enemy, but the Yetis had been killed off. Then I put her healers down along with the test balloon. I raged the healers right away because she's already starting to take some damage from 2 defenses, and the super wall breaker comes down. Then I stop looking there and I deploy my hogs. Warden comes down. I forgot to put my royal champion, which is hilarious. Total mistake on my part. It ended up not mattering in the end, which shows you how well this plan worked, fortunately. But I really should have put my royal champion down along with the hogs and the warden. So that was a big time mistake. You will see I start putting my cleanup wizards here pretty early on as well. All right, so once I use the warden's ability, then I stop looking down here and I come back up here, put down another rage, and I freeze the scatter shots. Good thing I did that because the queen had to take down the royal champion. Then I stop looking at her. I put down my heal spells like I explained before. And then once I do that, I come back up here. I freeze the town hall and the scatter shot, put down my last rage. Now, I actually was a second too short here on this rage. The queen had to go into auto ability, so that was unfortunate. At this point, I realized I totally forgot my royal champion, so I decide, where am I going to put her? My hogs are starting to get a little thin over here on the right, so I end up putting my royal champion down to help with this wizard tower. There she is. Again, that was a total mistake. I should have put my royal champion down way earlier whenever I deployed my hogs at the beginning. But, you know, sometimes you're not perfect with your deployment. So I didn't really need my royal champion's ability, so I use her ability here. She fortunately takes down the trash buildings up here at the north, except for that elixir storage. And then from here, it's a matter of cleanup. You didn't get to see, as I was going back and forth, I did save a wizard for the gold storage down here on the bottom left, but I already mentioned that to you earlier. So guys, that's how this attack works. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you see this base in the future, now you can make sure that you have a plan to take it down if you have experience with the Queen Walk Hogs Rider attack. Again, make sure you keep your healers raged frequently to keep your queen alive. Otherwise, you're going to get a 1-star fail and she will not get the town hall. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next time.